Hello, good morning, everyone. I am Shara Prophet, the Mind Magic Coach. And I hope everybody is having a great day so far. Happy Friday. And it's kind of early here in LA. It's about 6 a.m. And I woke up with a little message on my mind, so I thought I would share it with you guys. And you see the title of the discussion is Only God, a Goddess, Can Save You Now. And what does that mean? Are we talking about, you know, I love the phrase sky daddy or sky mama, something outside of ourselves that lives high, high, high above? Or are we talking about something that lives within us that's the highest part of ourselves? So a lot of people right now, given all of the situation that we're dealing with, quarantine and the viruses and, all of that kind of stuff, a lot of people are looking for a savior. They're looking for someone to save us, to get us out of the situation, to hurry up so we can get back to normal. And, we're looking at other people. Why aren't they wearing their masks? Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they washing their hands? Why are these companies still open? Why are these people still working? And so and all of this is an outward placement of responsibility. And what was really on my mind this morning was, you know, once we all realize that the Savior lives within us and that the God and the Goddess that we're seeking to save us is us, that's when we're going to finally be in a position where we're going to see some shifts taking place. Now, don't get me wrong, there is an energetic shift happening, okay? Underneath all of this, there is an energetic shift taking place, and everything is spiritual. Nothing is just mundane. Even the mundane has spiritual essence and spiritual energy in it. Good morning, Doris. Hi, Tahira. So everything is spiritual. And when I say spiritual, I'm talking about energy. So, some people call it spiritual, some people call it energy, vibration, whatever you want to call it. Everything is that. I'm talking about something as mundane as washing the dishes. That is also a spiritual thing, right? So there is something taking place right now. There's something happening underneath the surface, but too many of us are looking outside for the answer, looking outside for the vaccine. We're looking outside for the resolution. And really, what happens is we have to start looking inside. And I know everybody's been saying this. Most people who are, doing metaphysical, spiritual work are saying you got to go within, go within. Even more so than going within, it's taking responsibility. And when we think about the role of a god or a goddess, we tend to come to these entities or these energies asking for assistance or requesting help with something because we're still saying, oh well, I am here, but you're so much more powerful than me. You have the tools, you have the energy to do what it takes, right? So we're still looking outside of ourselves, whether we're looking to the president, whether we're looking to the CDC, whether we're looking to other people to comply, and make sure that they're doing what they're told to do so that we can hurry up and find our way out of this. It's still outward. We're placing the responsibility outward. And what really is trying to emerge here is a massive awakening for people to realize that they are the ones that they're seeking. They are the responsible. They are the responsibility. They are the savior. They are the president. They are the CDC. They are the God. They are the goddess, right? And what we have to understand is we have that ability that has been encoded in our DNA. Okay. Each of us has the ability to heal ourselves. Each of us has the ability to, make a massive change and a massive shift in our lives. But we've been taught from birth, from the time that we are actually birthed. Most of us were born in a hospital, right? Most of us we had a doctor. That was the first person that put their hands on us, was a doctor, okay? It was not a mother. The mother is usually the last person to touch the child when the child is born, okay? Unless you did an at-home birth and, you had a doula and things like that. But usually, the majority of us were born in a hospital, and the first person to touch us was a stranger, someone outside of us, a quote unquote authority figure, right? I did a video on this years ago, okay, on years and years ago, on our subconscious systems, okay? And the subconscious system simply means our societal systems. In society, the subconscious program of how the system goes is implanted in us very, very early at birth. So we're being taught at birth that this doctor knows more than the mother who has carried this child for 9 months, than the mother who has the intuition, who is connected to this child spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, right? Than the mother who also has the ability to heal and is a goddess herself, right? And we're taught, well, you're not a doctor. You don't know this. You're not a doctor. You don't know better. This is what we are taught, okay? And we believe this because it is a subconscious program about how the system runs and how the system goes. We're taught that in order to succeed in life, that we must go to school and then to college and then get a degree so that we can become productive citizens that make a nice living, that have benefits, okay? We're not taught to study for ourselves. We're not taught to ask questions and read different types of books. We read books in school, but beyond that, we're not really encouraged to go deeper than that. We're not really encouraged to be critical thinkers. We're not really encouraged to seek for ourselves something different than what is right in front of us, right? We're also taught that in the religious system, right? We're taught to seek something outside of ourselves, something that's higher, above us, outside of us, separate from us, right? We're actually taught that it is evil, or it is going against, quote unquote, God, to meditate, to go within. Even though if you read in scripture, it tells you to go within, right? But that's still not what the interpretation is when we're learning it from an outside teacher, preacher, right? We're learning that from an outside person, and they're giving us the interpretation that they are regurgitating from someone else that they learned it from, okay? So if you can just kind of go down the scale of the systems, okay, the structures, the societal structures, and you can see the subconscious programs that each of those systems has implanted in each side and inside of each of us, right? All of this is telling us, look outside yourself. Vote for this person because this person has the answer to your salvation, okay? Pray to this person because this person has the answer to your salvation. Go to this person because this person has the answer to your health and your recovery and your healing, okay? And when we do this, we are giving up the responsibility to somebody else. We're giving up our own power. And this is the reason why we find ourselves where we are today. Because underneath all of this, underneath all of this, what's really the main message here is no one can save you. No one can. Only you can. You get to choose whether or not you're going to be wealthy, okay? You get to choose whether or not you're going to be healthy. You get to choose whether or not you're going to be happy. You get to choose whether or not you are going to be in a healthy, loving relationship, okay? You get to choose whether or not you're going to have a fantastic experience with the work that you do, that is going to be fulfilling, that the home that you live in is the home of your dreams, whether you're actually living in the home of your dreams or living in a one-room apartment. You get to choose what that experience is going to be for you. But if you're only basing what it looks like, if you're only going off of what it looks like, what's right in front of you, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a conflicting experience to what it is that you truly desire. If you desire to be healthy, if you desire to come out of this thing a total new being, you can. You can, but you're not going to be able to do it by pointing the finger. You're not going to be able to do it by placing blame on someone outside of you because they're not wearing a mask or because they said to put disinfectant in your veins to get rid of the coronavirus. And this is the other thing, you guys. Please learn how to decode, okay? Please learn how to look up words. If you're glued to the TV and you're watching the news or you're reading headlines, take those words and look up the meanings of the words. Look up the point of origin of those words. Everything is a code. Please believe that. Nothing is put on the news by accident. Everything is strategically placed. I keep saying this. And then I keep seeing people, and not because I say it, you know what I mean? Don't do it because I say it. I say do it, 1, because it's fun, 2, because it's going to give you a lot of information. Now, there is a woman that talks really deeply about decoding and all of that type of stuff and how to do your research and stuff. Her name is Ashira Star Goddess. You can find her on YouTube. And she goes in and she breaks down like pop culture, current events and things like that. And she goes into the esoteric and the spiritual meanings of them. Okay. And breaks stuff down for you. And then you need to do it yourself. That's her interpretation, but you still need to do your own research and get your own interpretation. If you're going to really allow for outside information to dictate to you what's really happening, then you need to go deeper than just the surface meaning of things. This is another part of salvation. This is another part of sovereignty. Taking full responsibility for everything you do, you say, you think, and you consume. Take responsibility for what you consume. Most of us are concerned about what we're eating, but we're not concerned about what we're listening to. We're not concerned about what we're reading, right? We're more concerned about losing weight and working out and eating the right foods and so I can stay healthy. But if we're not sitting with ourselves every single day, if we're not tapping into the true knowledge, the true wisdom, the highest part of ourselves, okay, which is God, Goddess. That's the highest part of ourselves. It's not high up in the sky. It's high up in you. That's who you are. If we're not spending time with who we really are, then we are being led to the slaughter. We're being led into fire, okay? Which is also a good thing. Because if you die, then you can rebirth. You can be rebirthed and then you can re-emerge brand new with more insight, more elevated. So some of us are going to have to fall hard. Some of us are going to have to get so angry until you get to the other side of anger, which is action, and saying, well, let me try something different because this ain't working. I'm tired of being mad. I'm tired of being upset. I'm tired of being scared. What's on the other side of this? And some people have to be pushed to the very, very edge of themselves, the very, very edge of sanity, in order to make that full circle and come back and say, all right, well, now I got to try something different. Most people, that's how most people start on their spiritual journey. You're always on a spiritual journey, whether you are doing it intentionally or not, because we're spiritual beings, right? But some of us are doing it with intention, and some of us are just living. We're not even paying attention to that. We're just walking around and living in the mundane and not recognizing the messages and the lessons in the mundane. And what's happening right now is highly spiritual. This is a highly spiritual time. And if you're not grasping that, if you're not taking full advantage of that, if you're not, doing some type of spiritual study every single day, if you're not meditating, if you're not, journaling, if you're not asking questions and sitting and seeing if an answer comes, if you're not trying to, if you're a more advanced student, if you're not trying to push a pen across the table and make it move on its own, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because you're not honing your skills. You're not strengthening your skills and your abilities and your talents, your natural talents. We all have them. We all have psychic abilities. We all have amazing gifts and talents that supersede something like singing or playing a piano, that supersede that goes beyond that. And if we're not taking the time right now to dig in and find out, what magical superpowers do I have? Because you have them. You do have them. We all got them. It doesn't mean that it makes me special because I can do something, spiritual, because I can talk to people on the other side of the veil. That doesn't make me special. What that says is that I actually take the time out to hone that skill, to sharpen that skill, to strengthen that skill. Okay? That I'm not afraid to tap into that. But this is the time right now to really figure out, what is your superpower? What makes you a goddess? What makes you a god? And how are you going to apply it to your life in every way, in every shape in the mundane world? So do you know that when you go into hypnosis, right, when you go into a trance state, you're tapping into your subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is the place where you're able to create. Okay, you're able to destroy and you're able to create. The subconscious mind represents the divine feminine, that primordial, that dark, chaotic energy. Do you know that the dark, the blackness, the void is the God consciousness, the goddess consciousness? Do you know that? When you take time to tap into that part of yourself, you can come into contact with answers, with mysteries, that universal mysteries being revealed to you, that you can get all types of downloads and information, things that you cannot find, things that you can't look up on Google and see. Sometimes you can. Sometimes I get downloads and I'm like, well, let me look that up. And then it's an actual thing. And then I have to go in and I have to decode and break it down. And then I find information that pertains to my life or that pertains to current events or things that's happening around the world. The answers are within, but if you're not going within, you're not going to get any answers. All you're going to do is stay trained and focus on what someone outside of you is telling you. And 9 times out of 10, what you're watching on the news, you're watching a bunch of magicians spin and use language, spells, okay, to give you information and to tell you what to do. Because if you think that the people who are putting out the news, the people who are writing the newspapers, the people who are in the entertainment world, if you think that they are not you tapping into this power, that they're not tapping into the subconscious wisdom and knowledge, then you're sadly mistaken. Then you're going to forever be a slave to what you consume. You're not going to tap into your God, goddess energies. You're not going to tap into your superpowers and your psychic abilities because you're not allowing the space for that to happen. Instead, you're angry, you're upset, you're tired, you're afraid, you're confused. But knowledge takes away fear, takes away confusion. G.I. Joe always said knowing is half the battle, right? That is so true. That is very, very true. And that was a lesson that children learn, that knowing is half the battle. When I'm working with a client and they're coming in for anxiety or a fear or a phobia, usually once I'm asking them the right questions, right? Because that's the key. The key is to ask the right questions. I'm not going to tell you anything, but I'm going to ask the right questions to start sparking those little sparking those little electrical things in the brain to help you come to a new perspective. And usually it's like, oh my God, now I know where that came from. And something shifts. Because once that knowledge is there, once the awareness is made of what is the root of this fear, what is the root of this phobia, what is the root of my anxiety, all of a sudden the power in that thing diminishes. And then there's kind of a little joyfulness, a little laughter that comes like, oh my goodness, wow, okay, that's what that is. Okay. And then the next step after that is to go in and create a new association to it. Okay. But the whole point is knowing is half the battle. Once you know what's going on, once you can identify what's happening, what the root of it is, and you have that and you're equipped with the knowledge, it takes the fear out of it. It takes the power out of the anxiety. It takes the power out of the phobia. Because now you're able to trace it to the point of origin. You're identifying the place where it first took place. You're remembering what it felt like to be in that situation, and you start dismantling it. And you start picking it apart because everything happens in parts. Nothing is just one whole thing, it's parts. And if you're not looking at the parts, if you're not breaking it down, if you're not decoding it, if you're not breaking down the words, if you're not breaking down the meanings, if you're not breaking down the underlining messages, then you're only going to get a misinterpretation of what is really trying to be told to you. Because it's something they're trying to give you in messages and information, okay? But if you're only reading it from a surface and you're not tapping into your God, goddess ability to decode, your God, goddess ability to put knowledge before fear, then you will continue to go and be in the cycle, that cycle of slavery. That's what it is. Slavery is being bound to fear. Because once you're not afraid anymore, once you're not afraid of death, once you're not afraid of what could happen, once you're not afraid of losing anything, once you have no attachments to what's here in front of you, and you're like, I can lose all of this and still stand because I know that what I'm gaining is far more valuable than anything that I've ever possessed. Once you can move into that space, no one and no thing can harm you, even if it takes you out of your body. Because what's so bad about being out of the body? Again, not saying go out here and be irresponsible, Not saying, hey, let me stand on top of this 10-story building and see if I can fly. No, that ain't knowledge. That ain't wisdom. That's not being smart. That's not being a god or a goddess, right? But metaphorically, stand on a 10-story building and fly and take off and see what happens. And trust when you begin to delve deep, okay? Because there's a lot of wisdom inside of you. You know everything. You are an ancient being. Your mind is ancient. Your mind has been around since the beginning of time. Did you know that? Not the mind, not necessarily the mind of who you are right now, but I'm talking about the mind itself. Not the brain, but the mind. The mind is not tangible. The mind is an energy. And it is ancient, and it is filled with ancient wisdom. This is the reason why people can remember past lives. They can go into a past life regression and they can just, rattle off everything that's happening in front of them. It's not made up. The mind is remembering because the hippocampus, which is a part of the brain, is where long-term memories are held. And then it's not just long-term memories from a current life, it's long-term memories from the beginning of time. The universe itself is consciousness. This is the reason why our minds model what's happening in the cosmos, what's happening in the universe. Your subconscious mind rules about 90% of your automatic behaviors. And that's that dark, chaotic energy, okay? That feminine energy. And then there's about 10%, which is the conscious mind, right? This is the part that is, has the logic and the reasoning and is the voice of reason and is like, yeah, this is what we need to do. This makes sense. Yes, this is a good idea. However, what really runs the show is the chaotic energy, that dark primordial energy, which is your subconscious mind. And until your conscious mind and your subconscious mind is in agreement with each other, you are not going to make that change. You're not going to shift and do something different. So it's almost as if you have to go in to the subconscious mind to ask for permission to make a change, right? But the only way you can access it is if you go into a trance state, if you go into hypnosis. It's the only way you can access it. But if you are sleepwalking, okay, and I don't mean deep sleep. Deep sleep means your mind is still aware and alert, but you've tapped into the subconscious. That's a deep sleep. Being asleep means everything is shut down. Everything is in its resting state. Not just the body, but the mind too is in a resting state. So you're not consciously creating. But when you go into a trance state, when you go into hypnosis, you're consciously creating. You become a conscious creator, right? This is why the Be Magic acronym is bold, empowered, mindful, agile, grounded, intentional creator, because I'm utilizing a lot of hypnosis in there. So that you're tapping into the subconscious mind to be a conscious creator, a co-creator. Your conscious thought to lose weight, to get, start a business, to overcome an illness. Your conscious awareness to do that, knowing that that's something good for you, right? Can co-create with the subconscious mind, which is the goddess energy that creates and destroys. But it takes two to do that. It takes the divine masculine, which is the consciousness, and the divine feminine, which is the subconscious. It takes two of them to create that superconscious, which is the part of you that is attached to the universal mind, okay? that source of all energy, all, the all in all, when you tap into that, that's when you pull down miracles. That's when you start ascending. But you have to go within. You got to start with meditation. You got to start there. There's no way around it. There's no way around any of this. Meditation has to happen. I don't care if you're gardening, okay, and you're going into a meditative state while you're doing that. That's fine. If you're driving and you slip into a trance state, if you can throw in some positive suggestions while you're driving, go ahead. But if you don't even know what it feels like to slip in and out of a trance state, then you are not utilizing your natural ability. That is the natural ability that each of us has, is to slip into trance state, to go into a meditative state. And most people are walking around in a perpetual state of hypnosis. They're in a hyper suggestible state and they don't even know it. And instead of them becoming a conscious creator, an intentional creator while in that state, they're absorbing the suggestions all around them. They're absorbing what they're being told. And they're saying, this is the facts, this is what they said, and this is what it is. And if you're not doing that, then you're wrong. If you're not doing that, then you're putting all of us in danger. Because they're already in a hyper-suggestible state, because they're in fear, they're being overstimulated. And there is, the energy of fear is high right now, very, very high. Most people are afraid, right? Use that, because fear will put you into a trance state. Fear will put you into a hypnotic state. It's an induction. That is how people use mind control, okay? See, it's a little bit different. When you're working with hypnotherapy, we use relaxation to slip you into that hypnotic state. And it's a gentler induction. But if somebody wants to do mind control and brainwashing, okay, they're going to start off with fear. They're going to start off with a traumatic experience, okay? They're going to start off with a high stress situation, because high stress, trauma, fear is a shock induction, and it slips you into a hypnotic state, and then they can start pouring in the suggestions over and over and over again. I stopped watching the news on 9/11. I was in Washington, D.C. during 9/11. My mother, the neighborhood that I grew up in, is right down the street from the Capitol. I can walk to the Capitol from my mother's house. And I had just dropped my mother off that morning at work. It was about 6 a.m. that I dropped her off at work. She works 2 blocks from the Capitol. Okay. Now, the Pentagon is about a 10-minute drive from our house. Okay, in DC. Near the airport, near Reagan National Airport. We live in DC proper on Capitol Hill. Okay. That day was probably the most scary day of my entire life. And I've seen a lot of stuff. I grew up in DC in the 80s. I have been around gunshots, ducking gunshots. I have seen people get shot. I have seen people dying in the streets. I've lost people to gunfire and violence and stuff like that. You know, but that day was probably the scariest day of my life. And because I couldn't get to my mother, the phones were down. There was like a gridlock, which should have been like a 5-minute drive to her job from our house. Took me almost 2 hours. I couldn't get to her. They weren't letting anybody inside of the building where she works. Okay. And it was terrible. It was horrifying. And then I heard the boom in the Pentagon. while watching the news as they played over and 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 over again, the planes gliding into the Twin Towers. And then there was the threat of one hitting the Capitol and the White House. And then I heard the boom at the Pentagon. So forgive me if COVID don't scare me, okay? COVID don't scare me, because that shit was scary. And then hearing planes flying overhead, helicopters flying overhead, everything I heard flying overhead, I thought that we were about to get something else is about to happen. Bombs were about to drop. Something else is about to fly into something else, because we're so close to the place where everything was happening, right? But I noticed something, and this is way before I even thought about hypnosis or meditation and anything like this. Is way before I got into any of this stuff, right? But I noticed that they kept playing it over and over again, and I said, "Oh, they're trying to scare us. They're trying to perpetuate the fear." And I stopped watching the news that day. Now, mind you, I'll read headlines and I'll watch clips and stuff like that, because Trump entertains me, right? I don't take anything he says to heart. I don't let it scare me. I decode what he says, okay? And I find the real messages and the underlining meanings in it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I know what he's saying. But I do not watch the news anymore because, like I said, if you watch the first like 10 to 15 minutes of the news, then you've got what you needed. You don't need to keep it on all day. All right? You don't need to keep it on all day. You got what you needed. Or if you select the kind of news, the kind of content that you want to get, then you can set timers on your phone and you can sign up for different subscriptions and you can go to those places and let them report the news for you, because there's still some reputable journalists out there that are not owned by the huge network news stations. There's still some out there that you can find, okay? Do your research. But I realized, I didn't know at that time, that it was the law of repetition and the law of association, which is one of the 5 laws of suggestibility in hypnosis, that they were using to program us to be in fear. And what followed after that was a whole shift and change in the way we flew, right? I remember I would be out at night sometimes heading back home, but before you could enter into Capitol Hill, there was a military man with a big machine gun, walking up to the car asking to see my ID so that I can enter into the region where I lived. I had to prove that I lived there to get there after 9/11. Okay? And now we readily accept how we fly for our safety because we're being kept safe. Okay? Everything is a suggestion, you guys. Everything is a suggestion. Everything is a suggestion. Everything is hypnosis. Please just listen. If you don't hear nothing else I say to you, know that everything is hypnosis. If you don't understand how your mind works, if you don't understand how hypnosis works, if you don't understand the power of suggestion, if you don't understand that since the beginning of time, every system, every civilization has used this. Do you know how old hypnosis is? Do you know how old that is? It's as old as time. It's as old as the mind, because it is the mind. It's how we learn. Hypnosis is a learning state. Do you know that when you were learning how to ride a bike, you were in a state of hypnosis? Because it's a focused state of awareness. If you focus on an object long enough, if you focused on somebody talking long enough, right, you slip into a hypnotic state. Even right now, some of you are in hypnosis, listening to me talk to you. The words that I am saying are being absorbed into your subconscious mind. Do you know how to pull yourself out of hypnosis when you feel yourself slipping into it? Probably not. Do you know how to filter and shield yourself before you watch the news, before you listen to anybody speak to you, before you go into a crowded place, before you go into work, okay? Before you walk into the house where all of your family is? Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to protect your energy? Do you know how to pull your energy back? Do you know how to do any of these things to keep you sovereign, to keep you strong, to keep you focused, to keep you sharp, to keep you intelligent, and to keep you wise? Do you know how to do this? Do you know how to watch TV and be able to break it all down and not have any fear around it? And just be like, okay, I see what they're trying to do. This is stupid. Do you know how to command in your life that which you desire and only receive and experience that which you desire, regardless of what's going on around you in the world around you? Regardless. Even if the whole world is on fire and falling down and crumbling around you, do you know how to maintain your state? Do you know how to switch states? Do you know how to go from one state to the next? If you don't, do your research. If you don't, get with somebody who knows how. If you don't, start reading. Take a class. You ain't got nothing else to do right now. Most people don't, right? Do something other than chit-chatting and talking about COVID all day long, or watching the news, or, do something else. But do research, do study, and study things that are actually going to benefit you and increase you. Not just taking a class on, finance and stock market and, learning a new skill. Do that too, but really get to know who you are. And the only way you're going to get to know who you are is if you study the mind and you study hypnosis, okay? All right, let's see what some of you guys. Hey, y'all. I'm going to get ready to get off of here soon because I got quite a lot to do today. Hey, Anna. Okay, yeah, come back. It'll be here. Yeah, tell eyes vision. Tell a vision. That's right. Tell a vision. That's right. That's right. And it's not just on TV, guys. It's everywhere, right? It's everywhere. It's not just on television that we're being hypnotized. It's in everything. Listen, some of the people in your life are hypnotizing you. They don't even know that they're doing it. They don't even know, right? But it's a natural ability that we all have. It's not a special thing that I can hypnotize people. I went to school for a very long time and studied, and now I also teach others how to do it, right? I have the technique, and I have a very deep understanding of it, right? But we all naturally do it. We all naturally do it. If you look at, I have a cat, and I watch her go into meditation and just slip into it very easily. Very, very easily. I hypnotize her all the time. In fact, when I'm in here doing sessions, she goes in. When I'm working with a client, she's laying over here and she's out, knocked out. And the moment I start counting up and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eyes open, wide awake, bam, she wakes up too. When I first got her, I could hold her in my hand. She was only 4 weeks old, and I had to take her into a session with me because I had just gotten her, and I was at work that day at HMI where I was seeing a client in the clinic, and I had to hold her in my hand, and she passed right out as soon as I started doing the hypnosis with the client. And when I counted up, she woke up and started yawning. Animals do it. Babies, children from the ages of 0 to about 7 or 8 years old, they're in a perpetual state of hypnosis. This is why it's so important for us to watch what we say around a child, because they're sponges and they absorb everything. This is the reason why most of us are walking around screwed up because as children, our parents were doing and saying things to us that were planting suggestions and planting programs in us that are running with us today, right? That impact our lives still today. You could be 60 years old and still trying to figure out why I can't drop this weight. Still trying to figure out why I can't, seem to maintain a long-term relationship. Still trying to figure out why I still don't have no money no matter how hard I work, right? Still trying to figure out why I still haven't had a good night's sleep. I've never slept for 8 hours in a night, right? Still trying to figure that out. Or you may know why, but you don't know how to release it. You don't know how to release the energy around it. But you can. But you first have to come into the knowing and the awareness that you are the God, goddess that you seek. You are that. You are the savior that you seek. Nobody else can save you but you. Only God, goddess can save you, and you are the God and goddess. There is nothing outside of you. We're all one. We all come from the all, right? There's nothing more powerful than you. There's nothing more magnificent than you. There's nothing more magical than you. It's weaved into our code, our inner coding, our DNA. It's already in there. Do you know that sacred geometry lives inside of you? If you start studying sacred geometry or looking at sacred geometry and go into a meditation while looking at sacred geometry, you start unlocking parts of you. You start unlocking mysteries inside of you, gaining understandings that you never had before, gaining insights that you never paid attention to before. If you're not unlocking the codes inside of you, then you will always remain a slave. You will always remain a sheeple, be a sheeple. Okay? You will not be sovereign if you are sovereign, but you will not be benefiting from your sovereignty until you take full responsibility. Full responsibility. Nobody else is responsible. Only you are. Only you are. No president, no government, no doctor, no scientist, no philanthropist. They're not responsible for you. They're taking care of themselves. You need to do the same. And don't blame them for taking care of themselves. Don't blame them because they get it. Don't blame them because they're magicians and they work in their magic. Don't blame them. And even if you consider them to be evil, let me tell you something. Spirituality is not good or evil. It just is. And some of the people that we consider to be the most evil and heinous meditate every day, study, they understand their minds, they understand hypnosis, they understand energy, okay? And they believe deeply in what they're doing. They believe they have a purpose, they have a cause. They're not looking outside of them, they're calling the shots, they're making it happen, and you can do the same thing. You don't need billions of dollars to change your life. You don't need any money to change your life. That's something you have power. You're powerful already. Money doesn't make you powerful. Earning money doesn't make you powerful. That is innate. But if you're not using your power, then you're just a slave. And if you're allowing somebody, listen, let me tell you something. Most people, right? If they find someone that's going to allow them to get whatever they want whenever they want it, they're going to keep going back to that person over and over again. Even if you see it in relationships all the time or situations all the time. What is she doing? My cat is inside of a bag. Hold on, y'all. What are you doing? Anyway. You see it in relationships all the time, right? Somebody is dating somebody and they're not really that interested, but they know they can come in and out whenever they want to. They can come and go as they please. So they come and get what they need and run up in them and, get money or whatever. and then they leave for a while, and then the person is left there wondering what happened, and then they come back, and then that person is so desperate for them because they don't feel happy or whole unless somebody else is there, right? Then they let them back in, and the same thing happens over and over and over and over again. It's the same thing that's happening with us. It's the same thing that's happening with us and the people who so-called run the world, who have this pseudo power, because they're not looking for somebody to save them. They're making the laws, they're calling the shots, they're creating it, they're creating the reality, right? But guess what? It wouldn't be a reality unless people followed suit, unless people actually believed it. And if you believe somebody else's reality, heck yeah, they're gonna keep playing games and creating a situation where they're like, okay, let's see what they're gonna do now. Let's see what happens when we tell them to do this. Are they gonna do it? Be smart, y'all. Call your own shots. Create your own reality. If you want to be healthy, claim it. Speak to your body every day. If you want to be wealthy, do whatever it takes to uncover and clear out any blockages and any programs that keep you from doing that. And if you don't know how to do it, get with somebody who can teach you. That's simple. That's it. That's really all that it is. Okay? All right, you guys. I'm gonna go because I gotta do a lot of stuff, do a lot of work today. But thank you so much for lending me your ear and your energy. Please share this video. Good morning, you guys. Good morning, everyone. Anna said she has a cat. Yeah, she's an ancestor for sure. Ice is an ancestor for sure. She is such an ancestor. Oh my God. She's crazy. She's always eating my offerings. She just hops up on the ancestor altar and eats them, and will drink the water and everything. And at first I used to get upset with her, but I could hear my ancestors saying, "No, it's okay. She's one of us. She can have it. This is her offering too." So I just let her do it. Long as and she doesn't knock anything over. She's very careful when she jumps on the altar. She's very, very careful. And she also lets me know when it's time to light one of my altars. So she'll jump on it and look at me like, "Come over here and light this. Come over here and meditate." So cats are very magical animals, very, very magical animals. If you have a cat, they can guide you through the process of your magical journey. They will actually supervise what you do. They'll supervise your rituals and your meditations and all that type of stuff. They will. They really will. So, she's a special little baby. So she's very frisky and bad sometimes, but overall, she's got my back. So anyway, yes, they are spiritual healers. Yes, they are. All right, guys, I love you. Share this video. Be sure to check out my website, opendoorhypnosis.com. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, you can set up a free phone consultation by going to the website, clicking on book free phone consultation, and we can discuss the ways in which you want to use hypnosis or some of the other services that I provide. Be Magic is still open for registration, so do check that out. Like I said, I'm recording the classes, so even if you come in, later on and you're not able to sign up right now, if you come in later on, you'll have access to those classes. And eventually what I'm going to do is I'm still going to do the live coaching portion of it, but once I've recorded this cycle, what's going to happen is it's going to be an online self-study class, but it'll be videos that you can follow along with also with the ebook, okay? And you'll be able to do the self-study, and that'll be up like after this cycle is over with, after I recorded everything, okay? So thanks again for your love, your energy, your attention. Like I said, I hope that you guys have learned something today, and I hope that you take your power into your own hands and just really, do what you got to do for you. Trust me, just believe me. Do what you got to do for you. Focus on you, and do the mundane, but put the energy work at the top. Put you at the top, okay? Because the people who do that are the ones that are going to make it out of this. And if you aren't doing that, then you're probably not going to make it out. You might. But trust me, that is the goal. That's the reason why a lot of this stuff is happening right now, because there is a shift and a mass awakening that needs to happen. All right. And we've just got to allow the space for that. And we've got to participate and emerge. So I'm going to go and I will check with you guys in the next video. Okay. Bye.